The news getting worse by the minute. We understand from AFP and from France 24 and local reports on the ground in France, Libération, which is a newspaper there, as well as Le Figaro, that 18 people have been killed. Now we're understanding that there may be more that have been killed at another location. Let's get straight to CBS News national security analyst Juan Zarate. He's joining us now on the phone to talk about this. Juan, clearly this is horrific news coming out of France, out of the French capital, so soon after that deadly attack on Charlie Hebdo just less than a year ago.
Absolutely, and it's certainly what French officials have feared in the wake of those attacks and all of the arrests that they've been trying to make to disrupt cells and networks of concern. In some ways, this is the worst nightmare of Western capitals, to have multiple attacks, multiple gunmen, perhaps coordinating and trying to hit multiple sites in a way to maximize both the human toll as well as the terror in a city like Paris.
Juan, this is set the scene for our viewers because whilst you point out that this is certainly something that Western capitals are worried about, France has one of the largest Muslim populations, and we don't want to say that this is exactly that, but clearly so soon after the attacks on Charlie Hebdo, so soon after the initiative against ISIS in Iraq, and also the killing of Jihadi John, which is U.S. officials saying is perhaps a done deal, that it's sort of a unique dynamic in France.
It is, and Vlad, we had talked earlier in the day about the heightened pace of counterterrorism activity and terrorist activity, that we were really in a heightened state of tension because of what was happening around the world, to include a number of arrests that had happened throughout Europe just in the last 48 hours. And so, you mentioned the tension in France. There's been tension in Western Europe itself, and certainly in France for a number of years, concern over radicalized individuals who are seeking not only to go fight in places like Syria and Iraq, but also willing to attack fellow citizens. And so, again, this is why French counterterrorism officials and security officials have been very worried about this. This is why in the French parliament, after the Charlie Hebdo attacks, they were voting to increase surveillance. And this is why they've been engaging in arrests and counterterrorism activity over the last few months. Again, you're right. We shouldn't sort of speculate as to what's happening. But it's fair to assume that you have a fairly coordinated and vicious attack in France, and that those types of attacks in recent history have been motivated by violent Islamic extremist groups, and may in this case be motivated by ISIS. No claim of attack yet that I've seen. Certainly a high degree of ISIS Twitter activity that we're noting already, but the problem in these types of situations, Vlad, is that you've got a little bit of fog of war context, and we're still learning what's happening, and certainly if there's additional tragedy to come.